on this computer.
Be good. Is it gonna be on Instagram Live too?
We're recording right now, and I don't edit.
Okay, sweet.
No.
Is this gonna be on Instagram Live too? No, just Facebook Live.
I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah,
I mean, I could put it on my phone. Do you want me
to? Well, but then you just see you. You probably wouldn't see me too.
How about next time?
Next time, because that's something I want to do. I want to do like some Facebook Lives just by myself, and I have to figure out how to like share it on all platforms at the same time.
Yeah. I'm not sure from a Zoom perspective, but I know like if you used your phone for Instagram, you'd be able to you could probably kind of record it and show it.
Yeah.
Live. Okay. Cool.
So you want me to just talk about my journey and how I transformed and wherever that leads?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready.
Okay. I believe we're live. Now, do you have your phone? Now?
I'm on my phone right now.
Okay, so we can just share if you
best video.
Share. I'm just gonna share it on my Robin's Healing once we pop. Oh no! Okay, I didn't press go live yet. This is interesting. Okay, what do we want our title to be? Jordan. Best. It's the best. And Robin's Healing.
Sure. Is that what you're putting?
Yeah.
Is this live right now?
No, we haven't gone live on Facebook. Jordan and Robin's Healing interview. Very, very creative.
You can put how to live a life that's in your best interest.
You can talk more about that. We'll change the title later.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, this is live now? Cool.
I believe so. Can you see it?
Live on Facebook, it says, yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to share it out on my page, and whoever wants to share it as well, that would be amazing.
Right on. Should I share this online right now too?
I think you should, because then more people will have access to it. So
okay, I'll do that. I'll open up my computer. I can probably just share it that way.
Cool. So I'm gonna go back onto Zoom. It's not letting me. Okay, we'll do it this way then. So my name is Robin, and I own Robin's Healing. It's actually 111 as we speak, and it's Remembrance Day, which is amazing. So happy Remembrance Day to everyone.
Absolutely.
I am interviewing Jordan Best today, so we can just discuss anything that that he feels like is worth sharing today. So Jordan's had an amazing journey. I don't know too much about his journey, but that's why we're here to discuss it. I know you lost a lot of weight. You've from the last year and a half since I've known you, maybe going into 2 years.
It's actually been almost 3 years I've known you.
Wow. Okay. I know, like, it's just from where you were to where you are. You're a beautiful person then, but you're like extra beautiful now. So I kind of want to hear more about how you kind of went from one place into your life to the next, and like how you help people too, so that when we share all your information, people can reach out and get to know you more.
Sounds great. I'm just sharing this on my best interest page, which I guess is where my journey led me. Share, and then I'm going to share this on my other page too.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if it worked. Yeah, it did. Okay. Yeah, I guess you know a little bit about my journey. You kind of met me at the very beginning of it, like literally 3 years ago. It was in August 2017. Mm-hmm. That's when we met. Just to refresh you.
I went for a massage is how it happened, and I thought that there was something special about you.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting timing because it was literally right when I was like, diving into the whole new me, I guess. And I'll get into that in a second. I'm just focused on sharing this to my group or to my page.
Well, it gives other people time to do the same.
So,
And I'm still learning all this techie stuff too, because on my screen I can only see you on my phone. I can't see you on my computer, so I have to stare at myself, which I don't mind doing. Just kidding.
okay, so I think I did everything. All right. So that's good. Now I'm going to put my computer on airplane mode so there's no distractions, which airplane mode is your best friend. Maybe we'll talk about later, but you should put your phone in airplane mode at bedtime because I guess the Wi-Fi signals and like the electromagnetic frequencies disrupt our sleep. Like if it's in the room with us, they actually recommend to even like shut off the Wi-Fi if you can, which is kind of hard if you're in an apartment building. But yeah, this type of knowledge is what I learned along my journey. Now, where do I begin? Because every time somebody asks me this question, like there's so many things I could go into and so many different topics. But just to give whoever's in here now an idea of my journey, a little synopsis is I lost 115 pounds. At one point, I was 285 pounds, and I brought it down to about 170, and that kind of fluctuates depending on the season, if I'm going to the gym much or not. But I managed to keep it off for, I guess, 2 years or maybe over 2 years now. But along with that weight loss transformation is I always say it's just a physical representation of what transformed internally. So there's a whole lot of things that changed other than my weight loss. In fact, it was because of those things changed that it reflected in my weight loss. And I tell people all the time, I was actually telling somebody today, like, when I started to lose my weight, like I think the weight was just all the stored emotions and all the stored trauma and all the crap that I never dealt with before that I was like hiding away with food and weight. And maybe I built up this sort of protection and barrier that was like keeping me from facing reality. So, and I get the question I get asked most often because, it's a common thing in the Western world for people want to know how to lose weight because unfortunately, society brings us to these detrimental ways of living and eating and kind of supports these bad habits and behaviors. And whenever somebody asks me that, I'm like, I kind of wipe my forehead. I'm like, where do I begin? Like, because, but there really is only one place we can begin. And if you want to heal anything, if you want to transform anything or change anything, the only way to efficiently and effectively, and essentially the only way to do it in general is to get to the root of it. And the root of everything is our mind. And essentially what happened was I saw how I was living in that time, in that moment. I was addicted to nicotine. I mean, I smoked for like 7 years and I switched to the vape, but that still affected my lungs and I had asthma and stuff. And not because of the smoking, I had asthma for other reasons, which I'll get into just growing up. So obviously the vaporizer made it worse. And I was smoking weed all the time. I was drinking far too often. I was like a functional alcoholic. I would like have a 6 pack probably 2, 3, 4 times a week. And then when I would like go out and party, it would be like, I would drink way too much, like 2 quarts, and I would black out and kind of make a fool of myself type thing. And I didn't really recognize that as a problem. I thought that was just how people lived. And, it was even to the point where like I thought it was like normal and wasn't a big deal to like wake up in the morning and have just 2 beer. That's it. Nothing at all. Like just enough to start the day. I thought that was normal. And I would like, I ate pretty much whatever I wanted. whenever I wanted. I didn't really know any better. And anyway, I was also, to give you a background, I've been a massage therapist for over 7 years now. And I was a massage therapist then. And, aside from all my problems, I was still like living a functional life. Like I was able to have some success as a massage therapist. That I was working at Massage Attic at the time. This is before I had my own business. And I was doing pretty good there. And I have 3 kids as well. So, I was a good father, but not as good of a father as I could be, because the more present we are with their children, which is all they demand for and all they really need, the better for us. And um, this is just to give you a background of where I was at the time. And I also had like, I struggle with, I got some pretty severe depression and anxiety. And I was diagnosed with bipolar, ADHD, OCD, Tourette's, depression, whatever. I was on medication for all of that. I had all the symptoms for type 2 diabetes. I went to the doctor and she gave me like blood work probably like 4 times. I never actually went because another set of my problems at the time was I would procrastinate like literally like everything. And I would just ignore and procrastinate, and it just wasn't on the ball. I was disorganized. My room was the messiest room ever. Um, like just a mess. My car was the type of car there'd be Tim Hortons cups and garbages up to your knees when you got in it, and uh, I would like. I was always been like. I've always been like a sort of funny class clown, outgoing person, and that was like, back then I sort of used that as an escape to kind of face the reality of who I was or how I was living or anything. I kind of just used that as a coping mechanism, I guess. And I would use humor to distract myself and to distract others. And it would, uh, it would hide my inner anxieties and insecurities. I lack confidence and stuff. I had like skin problems. I had rosacea. I had, bouts of psoriasis and eczema and stuff. And I ended up injuring myself at a severe, I tore my ACL. I'm in a band too, and my band is called Short for Arthur. If you were to look us up, we have a couple of songs on Spotify, and we just released a music video too. And we have some more in the works that are soon to be released. But anyway, one night it was the last song of the night, and I was it was like literally I think towards the end of the song too, and I was at Five Bridges in Riverview. If anybody's ever been there before, and I was on the stage. I think it was one of the only times they had a full band play there, actually. But anyway, I jumped off the stage with the microphone, and I had been drinking too much, and I was also 285 pounds or around there. So of course, when I landed, my knee just totally gave out, and I had injury there. And then I think before then, a year before, months before, I dislocated my shoulder, and then since then I've dislocated it multiple times, and I've also re-injured both knees a couple times. But ended up being multiple tears, and the most severe one was the complete ACL tear. And I think part of that was because of my nutrition, on top of the weight, and on top of my stupid decisions of drinking too much and using alcohol as a coping mechanism, or what I like to call a social lubricant. Because people use it as all the time. That people have a hard time connecting without alcohol. It's a very common thing. It's a social thing. So, anyways, that's where I was at all these problems, and then without going into another hour-long story of how I changed, like what sparked it all. Long story short is I really profoundly saw how all of my thoughts, and that's a sort of key word we want to highlight there, all of my thoughts, all of my actions, all of my behaviors, all of my habits, those are all keywords there, how they were affecting me in the current moment and how they caused all of the problems and the suffering that I had, meaning the weight loss, the mental health problems, the physical health conditions, the problems in my relationships and the problems of friendships, the bridges I burned, the anger problems I had, all of those things. Like, you know, I saw how it was creating all of that. And I saw that if I kept living and thinking, most importantly, the way I was, where it would bring me, and it was essentially going to bring me towards, you know, death, destruction, chaos, and suffering. And it was just such a profound realization. And of course, you know, at the same time, I also saw that if I changed my habits, my thoughts, my behaviors, my actions, and then my life could be, you know, everything I'd ever dreamed of. If I just went with it and started living differently and flipped everything the other way. And I not only did I see that if I did that, it could be like that, like life could be better and I could start living life of my dreams. I could lose my weight. I could quit smoking, quit drinking, you know, get off my medications and all that stuff. Which by the way, I told my friends. I told my roommates in the kitchen one night about this, and I was like, "Yeah, like I'm, I'm gonna lose all my weight. I'm gonna quit vaping, and you know, I was vaping like every 5 seconds, and I'm gonna start living healthy and all this stuff." And they were kind of just like, "Ah, yeah, yeah, like yeah, right," type thing. Like, sure, you go ahead, like you go, Jordan. And but I was like serious about this, and anyway, so I really just saw the possibility. I saw the reality of me changing my life around. I saw it was 100% possible. It was totally attainable. And I also kind of what drove me was realizing, you know, if I kept living the way it was, life would suck. And that's the thing. And this is what I was talking about now is like, and what a lot of other coaches teach is that like we live our life based off pain and pleasure. So we seek pleasure in various forms, and we avoid pain. This is what our whole life is revolved around: avoiding pain and chasing pleasure. And so, essentially, that made me see like, all right, I'm going to avoid the pain of living the way I am now and making things worse than they are, and I'm going to, you know, seek the pleasure of creating the life of my dreams. And you know, that really drives your actions. When you see something, when you see the possibility of something, that's when you start to, you know, make the changes and start putting the actions to make it happen. It's when you see the possibility. And that's why, you know, wherever you're at in your life and on your own journey, and if there's something you desire, one of the best things you can do is look to somebody who's already achieved it, because that can give you the motivation so that you can see that it's possible. Because as soon as you see it's possible, you're gonna believe that it's possible. And then once you have that, then you can start to, you know, think that it's possible for you and believe that it's possible for you. And I don't like to use the word belief all the time because it's all about changing belief into faith,
Mm.
and, you know, having no doubts that you can do that no matter what.
Can I
And
can I stop you for a sec?
you can, yeah. Like I said,
Okay.
I can go on about many different things.
Because it's funny because you touched on faith, right? And that anything's possible. So how did you start to develop faith based on what a few things that I wrote down was like drinking, smoking weed, having asthma, like having anxiety, being an extremely sensitive and emotional person, not feeling grounded, having some negative energy, being and balancing being like a father. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're asking, how did I find faith?
Yeah, like because you're like your it sounds like your belief is that anything is possible, right? Like that your head is kind of in that mindset. So how did you I guess the key thing is being so emotional, how did you flip switch it over to the faith side of things, like that spiritual?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I guess I saw that there's more to life than what meets the eye. I saw that we're not just our physical body. You know, we have our mind and we have our consciousness and we have our spirit and we have our soul. And I believe that. And, you know, not everybody believes that. But the thing I say to that is it doesn't matter if it's true or not. The important part is actually believing in something greater than yourself. Like, so even if you don't believe in spirit or God or whatever, I think it's healthy to believe in that, because that's what can drive you forward. Because you're gonna believe that somebody's or something is always there to get your back, and you're gonna believe that things can be greater than they are now in the current present moment. And so I had many, like all this story, like long story short, I had many different spiritual experiences and encounters, but I don't talk about that much on my platform, because I try to resonate with people of all from all different backgrounds. But that's really what happened. Is, I mean, I had many different series of spiritual events, and that's kind of what led me to realizing what I'm talking about, which is, you change your mind, you change your life, you recognize the power of your thought, the power of your actions and your behavior, and how they can change your life, and you can essentially manifest your dreams. So that's one of the ways I developed faith.
Okay, I have another question then. So that's one thing with faith, but when it comes to your mental health, like you talked about being diagnosed with all these different like diseases and
Okay,
disorders like
can I just say
bipolar.
one? Can I
Yeah,
just say one thing before we get into that
yeah.
question? So, for faith, for anybody who's listening, I think people associate faith with religion and spirituality, but faith is not just about that. Faith is about believing 100% that something's possible no matter what. If you use religion and spirituality, that's great. But Michael Phelps used faith. I love using Michael Phelps as an analogy, because he's like the number one swimmer, but he always like visualizes gold medals, and he had faith that he would achieve them no matter what. And so that's where we bring faith in other aspects. How you generate faith is up to you. So, anyways,
Okay. And so, yeah, no, one more question about that, because another thing I wrote down around faith was like, who is that? So, like, do you have a God? Do you have a Buddha? Like, who is the person that you look to when you're working on faith?
oh, when I'm working on faith, so yeah, I mean, I've come to find God through myself, and God to me is the creator of all things. And one of the things that stuck out to me one day was I was in the hospital. I actually cut my part of my finger. Um, I was backcountry camping in Fundy, and my mom ended up coming back, picking me up because I went to the hospital. All they did was put a bandage. But anyways, I think I was there for a reason, because in that hospital emergency room, I was just sitting there, a bleeding finger with a bandage on, which was the only thing that they did. And this old lady, she randomly starts talking about I don't know, Genesis in the Bible, and she's like, yeah, like I don't know what she said about it, but the thing that stuck out to me, what she said was, you know, God like created everything. Like, did you create like a cat? Did you create the things around you that you see? And I thought to myself, like, no, like I didn't create a cat. Like I would have no idea where to begin to create a cat or to create that design. And so that's kind of one of the things that stuck out to me, and I carry that forth each and every day, because I've come to find that it's like believing in God is a really good belief to have, because otherwise you're going to feel really alone in the universe when you have nobody else around and you don't know what else to do. Because I found that if you believe that you are your own God, and if you believe that you are God, that you have nobody else to look up to to help show you the way, or create new things. And so I believe that people call the God many different names, universe, source, all that and stuff, whatever. I like to personalize it, because I believe that the creator of all things is personable, and if I believe that when we personalize God, that we can have a greater relationship and create a better life for ourselves, because we're essentially asking and connecting to the supreme creator of all things to help us create the best things in our own life. And so that's one of the things that I've led in. And aside from that, there's all sorts of different spiritual teachers all around the world, and all these different philosophies and religions and stuff. But the one that stuck out to me most, and not just because I grew up that way, was Jesus, because he's the most powerful, like spiritually evolved being out of all of them. If you look at all of the spiritual teachers, and then Like he is the most highest evolved. And he's also the one that's most present in front of our awareness. And so he's essentially like, I see him as like my coach, like showing me what I can do, what I'm capable of, and what I can become. And he also teaches us how to connect with God and to connect with the creator and stuff. So that's my own way, beliefs that I developed to help move me forward, and which has helped me create success in my own life. Other people have different ways of that, and that's okay. Everybody's on their own journey. And so, but the thing is, the thing that I think of all the time is, what are the best beliefs that I can live by? Because the beliefs are what drive our actions, and actions are what produce results. So like, what are the things that I can believe in that are the best that can drive me forward? And so for that, to me, it has been believing in, creator that helps me create.
Cool. I love that. So, like you created children. So that's something you did, right?
Exactly. I created children. I have 3 boys, and I teach them how to create. So it's like this, you know, line of us helping each other. You know what I mean? This
Mm-hmm.
whole line. Yeah.
And you also create music,
I
right?
create. Yes, I'm a musician. So
So would you say that your creative side has helped you like with some of these things that you said, like burning bridges and stuff like that, like when you felt angry and all that energy? Something else other than anger you said. Well, you talked about procrastinating and just like basically just carrying a lot of depression and like basically mental health
yeah,
sickness. Was your music and like a big part of your outlet?
music was a huge part of my outlet, and I think everybody should have an outlet with whatever it is. And you make jewelry, and you do all sorts of other things, and that's an outlet that's similar to music. And so, like I said, I have a band called Short for Arthur, and I've kind of, you know, all my life I was around music. My dad was a musician, but he lived out west, so I'd only see him in the summers. But he introduced me to it, and I dabbled with guitar and piano on and off until I was like 15 or 16. So started off with harmonica, then I played. Um, I was the only one to play harmonica. I got pretty good at it, so everybody wanted to jam with me. And then I started singing, and I sucked at singing at the time. But singing is something for anybody who's listening who wants to be a singer. Your voice can be developed. You can train your voice. It's like a muscle, and you can learn how to sing. Like anybody can learn how to sing. You talk to the world's top vocal coaches, and they'll tell you the same thing. So don't let yourself be discouraged if you sound like crap right now. Just like put practice into it, and you'll be good. But because I listened to myself in high school, and it's just like it's not that bad, I guess, but it's just hilarious compared to now. And but music is something that always drove me forward, like growing up, because like I kind of always had like the ADHD problems and labels since childhood, and depression and stuff. And so like I used to write like a lot of poetry along with that too. So that was another creative outlet, and just writing in general. I always loved to write.
Hmm.
I was always good at writing, and it was a really good, like really good outlet. And but if you look at my lyrics and the poems I used to write back then, they were very dark. So like for me, writing was a way to like digest the emotions I was experiencing, and that is like really important, right? Digesting, because if we don't digest them, what happens? We become constipated with emotions. So,
Are you
and we
speaking to me directly?
maybe, I don't know if it's speaking
Just
to you,
kidding.
it's speaking to you.
Can we do a little exercise? Because what I've been kind of doing with my peeps that come on here is we'll like our last week we did a little theta healing because he was
Yeah,
just kind of
sure.
like showing an example of how it can benefit you. So since we both have our notebooks and I have my cards, I thought maybe we could do like a little free writing exercise. So if anybody else has a notebook, we can just give an example of how um, our intuition will kind of guide us when we're creating.
Okay, sure.
So that when you're feeling feelings, you can just kind of like tap in, because that's a big thing that I think a lot of people are blocked in.
Okay.
And I think that you're quite talented with writing and poetry, and so am I. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, and you don't have to be talented, but like you said, you can develop it. So just showing people how, like, how to access, right? So
Uh,
the card that I pulled up is 5 of water. And it says things not turning out the way you'd hoped, not seeing the positive in a situation, crying over spilled milk. And I always look at this card as a form of regret, and how people can, like, is your cup half full or is it half empty? Right? Because you
mm,
talked about your mindset and
yeah,
how you transformed your mindset. I know you get out in nature and do things like that, but writing is a great way to transform quickly, right? Like inside of the house. So maybe we can just do a quick little free write on anything that comes up for you around
sure.
the 5 of water, and just allow it to come out and we'll share. Cool. Huh, cool. Anything?
You good?
Yeah. So
Right.
what I got is trust that you love yourself. So I kind of look at this as just like there's a reason why these messages are coming up, right? And I think that when we write and share, like actually use that creative tool like you do with your music and then you share it with other people, like that's the most powerful piece. So
Yeah.
um, God
Share
has a
your creations.
yeah, God, exactly. That's what you have them for. God has a plan because you were here and as a result have owned plenty. It's time to own. So kind of weird, but I look at that as like owning things, and ownership to me is really important. Like you were talking a little bit about accountability and discipline and how you procrastinated on everything. So
Yeah.
I see that as like when you can accept where you are, that's when everything changes. So it's time. The message was it's time for that to start accepting where we're at, because so many people make so many excuses and why they can't do something now. Because there's always going to be a reason why you can't, but
Yeah.
it's finding all the reasons why you can. So I kind of like that. So what did you come up with?
I got a few things here. So at first, I think I wrote down was learning how to swim better, and so this to me it means there's things in the past that we wish we would have completed or
Mhm.
wish we'd gone back to or wish we'd done. And this is something called our unmet needs, and it's very important to meet our unmet needs. And if there's always something that keeps coming back and being like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, well, you probably should. For me, it's not just learning how to swim better because I want to be able like a really good swimmer so that I can go surfing someday or something like that. And but it's like it's also just learning new things in general and stepping outside my comfort zone. So the second thing I wrote was building an unsinkable boat. So, which is, I think it's just like, I think that's more metaphorical. It's like building a foundation of something it's going to bring you somewhere that's going to be unsinkable. So
Mm,
the foundation to our soil is what's going to determine the size of our fruits that we get when we grow them. And so I think that's very important. So building the foundations within ourselves, it starts with our mind and our habits, and we can create it so it's unsinkable and so that we're resilient and so that we bounce back if we do encounter areas of turmoil and stress, right?
mhm.
Because if you're on a boat, The storms are inevitable and all like the treacheries of nature. But if you have a strong bow, you don't need to worry about it. And so that's the same with our bodies and our minds. The third thing I wrote was tears of laughter. So I think finding opportunities to create laughter and comedy is really good, whether that's watching comedy or laughing with friends or not taking life so seriously. Because for me, like I never took life seriously at all, like ever. And then all of a sudden I became like too serious and like too spiritual. And then now I'm kind of finding my way back to laughter again, to comedy, which I'm actually going to create a comedy series here on YouTube soon. I just have to start filming. Start now, right? No excuses. The fourth thing I wrote was animal connection. So, connecting with animals and using them as therapy and loving them and appreciating them and stuff. And, gathering with family. So if you don't gather with your family on a regular basis, you should be the one that organizes things, because somebody's got to step up to the plate. And that's all I got.
I love that. I love the initiative part and what you're saying about family, because a lot of times like family dynamics are complicated. Like you mentioned your mother, you mentioned your father, and, it just happens to come up in pretty much every session I do. Um, and it feels like there's always that blaming energy with family, right? We blame this person didn't do this, or whatever, they're this way, and it's always like
Yeah.
there's always a mirror with family, and the family that you chose when you came into this world, you chose them. I believe that. And they're there to show you lessons, just like the partner that you choose in this life, right? They're your best teachers. So I love that you're touching on like
Yeah.
initiating more connection to the family, because often what people will start doing is pushing the family away, when what we want to do is invite them in so that we can understand what we need to change, not what they need to change. Right.
Yeah, and I think that ties along with my story. I had a lot of anger inside of me, and I burned a lot of bridges because of it, and with family too. And in fact, I went years where I didn't speak with certain members of my family, and I had to swallow my pride, and it takes humility and courage, and facing and owning up to what you've done, and being able to apologize to them and asking for forgiveness. Like that's such a powerful thing, because I believe that no matter what bridges are burned, you can build them back if you swallow the pride and
Mhm.
develop courage and compassion, and like just own up to it and go do it. And you got to start somewhere. It might not be instantly healed, but you got to kind of rebuild it. And even though I went years back, I apologize. It's still each day it's building better and better and better each time I see those family members, even if it's only a few times a year. So that's a good important part. To
So one more question about forgiveness, because that was kind of coming up earlier and I didn't touch on it, because it sounds like you had quite an interesting path, like with people, right?
Yeah,
That you were like, it sounds like when you were saying you're blacking out and stuff like that, or I'm sure when bipolar stuff's coming up like that,
yeah.
you've had battles, and like probably didn't feel supported, I'm assuming. So like how did you like kind of work through your forgiveness and like your therapy? What was your therapeutic process? Like did you use a forgiveness prayer? Was it calling everybody to apologize? What was it?
Um, well, I think the first things first is, in order to forgive others, we have to first forgive ourselves, because everything starts with us. We have to take responsibility, even if like somebody does wrong with you. I mean, we have to take our ownership of us, even just the fact that we're there. Just forgive ourselves and let go of that shame and guilt. And yeah, I mean, if the person's still alive and you have contact, I think you should forgive them, or apologize to them or whatever. Just call them right up and just do it. regardless of what their response is, because it's not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness sets you free, and forgiveness is what sets you free from anger and resentment, and those are all walls and barriers that hold us back from moving forward. But yeah, like, I mean, I would say prayers and stuff, and in my own way, and I would kind of just reiterate them all the time. And
Mm.
if
I just
I
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I just started working with the Ho'oponopono prayer.
Yeah. Oh
You know
yeah, I
that
know
one?
Ho'oponopono. Yeah, I think
And
that's a really good one.
it's something that I bring into my daily practice. So that's why I was asking,
Mhm.
what you've done because it's new to me, but I'm finding it so magical. So I'm almost like, and in my yoga training, one thing we learned is to invite your demons in for tea. So like, as I was saying with family, it's not pushing the bad away, it's inviting the bad in so that we can, like you said, do the forgiveness work. So I will then start to kind of say, thank you, I am sorry, I love you, I forgive you. So yes, it's for me, but it's also like kind of just like sometimes sent out to certain people, right? So it's like I kind of encourage myself to have these experiences. And as a writer yourself, you probably live your life not in a normal way. Like you probably go out of your way to invite the bad in so that you can have these experiences. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I talk about in my own words. Like I always say, like, you have to face it in order to change it. Like you have to be able to like stare at your demons in the eye and like not be afraid of them, and like conquer them, and conquer your fears, conquer the things you're afraid of, conquer the um, things that you've been hiding for a really long time, and just like stare at them in the face, because that's the only way that you can change them, is when you like look at them, accept them, and forgive them if you can, or say sorry if it's relevant. And then you have to start to think about what you do want and what you want to replace it with, and all the good things you want to replace it with. But Ho'oponopono is like, that's actually one of the fundamentals to what helped me change too, is finding, accepting responsibility within all negative things that occur in your life, because that it makes you feel better, and it makes you feel like more empowered, I guess. Because so the idea behind Ho'oponopono, for anybody who doesn't know, is it's, I mean, without going into a big story about it, it's basically, if we hear of somebody who got stabbed in the news, for example, because we heard about it, because it's in our awareness that and because we're all connected, that our consciousness or our spirit played some role in that. And so we accept our small role of responsibility in that, and because of that, we just say sorry. I did that. Please forgive me for doing so. Thank you for the healing I received today, and I love you. And that kind of just like sets you free from feeling maybe a negative emotion towards that thing that we heard. And some some can even go further and just truly believe that they did play a big part in that, which is okay. So that's kind of the background of Ho'oponopono. But yeah, so I think that stuff's good, and it kind of like that Ho'oponopono thing. It also resonated with the teachings and beliefs I was brought up with, which was like family would always teach me to ask for forgiveness from God, and to like um, say sorry and stuff, and repent or whatever. Um, I don't feel like you need to do it in the ways that they taught me, but I think like it's good to just be authentic and speak yourself, and to be able to tell others what you've done wrong, and you know ask for forgiveness, even if you just tell your friends that you messed up.
I love that because everything we've been talking about the entire time feels like about accountability and just like
Yeah.
taking a little bit more accountability for your actions instead of projecting. energy onto other people. And I think that in the stressed out world that we live in today, especially, I know I'm getting very like triggered watching movies and stuff on
Yeah.
Remembrance Day because you know, my grandfather had PTSD and my other grandfather was in the war, and he was in the sky as a pilot, so he didn't have like injuries or things like that. But you know, the other one did, and you were talking about alcohol abuse and you know self-medicating and stuff.
Yeah.
So it brings up a lot of energy. So I find that it's all how we like react to stress, right? And
Yeah.
the stories that we're telling ourselves all the time, when really, like you said, it's your thought process and all of these thoughts that are constantly going through people's minds on a daily basis. And I think a lot of people are naturally very reactive, like because they're not doing all of these practices that you were talking about with self-discipline, whether it's whatever, nutrition, exercise, taking a long walk on the beach, right? Like making love to your partner, whatever it is, it's just taking the time to do it. Do you agree that it's like people don't take time for themselves anymore?
Yeah, I think just as much as we need to work out, we also need to work in, which means taking time for ourselves and doing the things we need to restore. So, massage therapy is one of them because it's one of the very few things where we're letting somebody 100% take care of us for an hour. Doing little things that make you happy. For me, it's mountain biking or music or whatever else. So I think that's one thing. And I wanted to say, like, for accountability, like that is a big part of everything. Because if you're not holding yourself accountable for your life, and then you're living in a mentality, a victim mindset, and the victim mindset is the lack of control. So that means that essentially your power has been taken away or you've given it away, and you don't want that. You don't want to give your power away. You want to recognize your own power and your infinite potential, and you want to implement it in your own life. And so you can't do that with a victim mentality. You got to hold yourself accountable even for the other stuff that other people have done wrong. Because
Mm.
because it's our, if you're an adult and you're in Canada, you can do many different things to get away from that situation or from those people that are holding you down or who have done you wrong. The ball is in your court, and it's up to you to shoot. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land upon the stars, right?
I love that. So, how would you encourage people? Because, like, moving forward from all the crap in people's lives these days that we're living in with election stuff and COVID and all that stuff, like, when it comes to a couple of things we touched on was like getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And because that's like the scariest thing for people is just maybe they're used to like running around with their head cut off all the time, right? Like go, go, go mode. That taking time for themselves is uncomfortable because that's a real thing for some people. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is learning how would you recommend or what would you recommend? Because I know you're like super inspirational and like for courage because like how do you it's so easy to say but like what how do you start building courage, like is it the affirmations or is it like writing it down on a list and saying okay today I'm going to do this, or, like how do you do it?
Well, the only way to build courage is to face what you fear. And the first thing that you fear is yourself. So go into the mirror. I mean, for me, I suffer with a lot of self shame and guilt, and I didn't even like looking at myself in the mirror. It took me years to look at myself in the mirror before I go to the shower. And I remember, right, that's part of my healing is I would look at myself in the mirror, completely butt naked. And yes, it's hilarious. And I'd be like, I love you, Jordan. And I wouldn't even want to look at myself. And then I would just like start bawling. And that was one of the things I was afraid of, was to look at myself, like a look at my weight that I've caused. And because I knew it was more than just the weight, and it was the hurt and the emotions and like the self blame and the guilt and the shame that caused that. And then I would start to cry, and I would break down in tears, and I would realize I would actually start crying even harder because I would realize I actually did love myself. And
Mm.
so you have to, and the other way to build courage is facing other things that you fear. So, do go follow your dreams. Like your dreams, one of my favorite quotes, as I heard, Les Brown say it, is your dreams were given to you for you to accomplish. So go get them. Like they're literally waiting for you. And if you're like anything in your life that you feel like is holding you back, it probably is. And don't be afraid to let it go, because you only have like one shot, one opportunity to go catch your dreams, and just go get it. Go do it. Don't be afraid. And as far as the unknown, well, no growth happens within your comfort zone. Those downs that we experience in life when we feel like crap and we're at rock bottom, that's a growing pain. That's going to make us stronger, and that's going to provide us with more experience. And we're only going to have, when we come out of that, we're only going to have that much of a greater appreciation for when we do feel the good moments, when we do, achieve those goals and celebrate those little wins. And so, yeah, like start with little things, and then celebrate those little wins, and like, be proud of yourself, and be proud of yourself even if you haven't even done anything. Frig, like, because we're going to be working hard either way. I always say this: we're going to be working hard either fighting disease, or we're going to be working hard gaining health, and not just health physically, but health in our relationships, health in our friendships, in our career, in our dreams, and our hobbies, and ourself, and our mind, and everything else. And so, if we actually start to look at the unknown, the best analogy that I like to use is, look at the unknown. It's nothing but a blank canvas. And you are the painter, and your mind is the paintbrush. And so you can be afraid of that blank canvas because you don't know what to paint, or you can just start painting and making scribbles or stickmen at first. But you know what? If you keep doing it, it's going to get better. And the more that you have a conscious intention of what you actually want to paint on that canvas, the better it's going to turn out. And practice and consistency equals results. So keep it up, because you're going to get there.
I love that. So intention setting is another thing that I've been really practicing, because I've realized if I don't kind of like focus on something, it, like you said, it's okay if you're celebrate the fact that you're not doing anything too. But at the same time, like if you really want to move forward, like take a leap of faith, it's have an intention, right? Like just set something for yourself because if you do,
Yeah.
it it gives you something to put energy into. So even if you're not a person that has any faith, then at least daily have things that make you happy, that you put energy into, and essentially that is your faith, even if you don't want to call it that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And just quickly, because the energy of your mother keeps coming up, can't help it. Because I remember when we were doing your Reiki training, you brought some stuff up around your mom. And you mentioned religion earlier, and you were kind of like raised a certain way. And then you kind of like, sounds like you lost your faith. And then you kind
Yeah.
of came back to it. So is everything now kind of like with family and like because you're on a better path, would you say healthier?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's 100% healthier. And, I've, I've, I don't know, I've learned a lot of things along the way. And I kind of implement that in with not just the relationships with my mom, but, other family members and friends too. So you kind of learn how to get along more and how to, respect each other's beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I come to find out that we actually do believe a lot of the same things.
There you
Like
go.
we believe in pretty much all the same things, and sometimes they're just little variations of one another. So, coming to more of an acceptance. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better. And, I always think to myself every day, like how can I improve in every aspect of my life? There's a Japanese word for that. It's called kaizen. And one of those most important things is your relationships, because as Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. So improve on them, connect more, ask questions, get to know them on a deeper level than just small talk.
I love that. And so when it comes to like sickness and stuff, do you still have like from an I know you've worked a lot on yourself, but from a like energy standpoint, do you feel like you're still struggling with a lot of that sickness? Like I don't know if you were diagnosed with stuff. I know this is personal, but I think it helps a lot of people the more personal you get, because there are probably other people if you do have like mental health that issues, and look what you're doing, like it's
Yeah.
inspiring too.
That's a really good question. I and I'd like to dive more into that someday and
Yeah.
more in depth about it. But today I'll say that, yes, I was diagnosed with all those things, and I was on medications, and was illnesses that you can kind of say you're destined for. And I was diagnosed by 3 different doctors. So it's not like it was a misdiagnosis. I fit all the criteria of all those illnesses. And, now I don't like, if you were to look at me then, I would fit all the criteria of all those illnesses. And now if you look at me, I don't fit like any of the criteria. So that's how I overcome it. And I was able to get off my medications, which not everybody's able to do. And if you do it, you have to do it under medical supervision and stuff, and do it safely and effectively. But the only way I was able to do that was because I took care of every aspect of my life possible, from my microbiome and my gut healing. Like I heal my digestive system with food. I started eating better because there's that gut brain connection, which 90% or maybe even more of our serotonin is produced in our gut. And I started to exercise. I started to surround myself with better people. And just like creating better friendships and relationships in general. I started living with a purpose, and I had a mission to help other people, transform their lives and become better. And I was finally happy, and I wanted other people to feel the same way. I started like living the life I love and diving more into the music and my creative passions and stuff, and essentially trying to be the best version of myself. Which, if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, actually, if anybody wants to look at it, I wrote an article called "What Does It Take to Be Happy?" And if you go on my Instagram or on my link tree link, you'll see the link to that. And it's on medium.com if you just want to search it. But
We'll share, we're gonna
ta-
share like
yeah,
I'll make sure it's all like in
okay,
for everyone
sounds
here.
good. If you
Yeah.
look at that, like, I mean, I was getting all those needs met, and I was doing it consistently. And I was also doing like the psychotherapy, and like, because part of what I did was like I recognized the power of neuroplasticity, the science of it, and I started to like rewire my brain through changing my thought and being more mindful and aware of my thoughts and actions and behaviors. So, I mean, you got to take care of all that if you want to change it, but it is possible. And I was only able to do all those things through through my faith and my determination. So, does that answer the question?
Yes, that's amazing. So what is your email? Just throwing it out there verbally so people know.
Oh, bestinterest.me@gmail.com.
Okay. And
Yeah.
your best interest, I'm just curious because I don't know, because I get caught up in myself sometimes, and that's why I'm getting into these interviews. And at
Oh yeah.
2:30, if you go onto Robin's Healing, I'm going to be doing Ask Questions, so I'm going to be doing readings on there. So you can also hop on, and if you have a question you want an answer to. But when it comes to like your best interest radio, how do people access that?
So Best Interest Radio is my podcast that I started. I have 11 episodes up now. I'm about to release one tomorrow, actually, which is really interesting. It's going to be on the education system and how education is everyone's business, and is through a very inspiring teacher, Stuart Murray, who ended up creating his own job where he helped a lot of troubled students kind of improved what was possible. So check that out. You were on my podcast, Robin, and
Yeah.
I love having a podcast because like you said, like you get to know more about people and what they do, and you get a closer lens greater look at things. And so I love
Mm.
that. But if anybody wants to find my podcast, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere you can find podcasts. And that's under Best Interest Radio. All of my social media handles are bestinterest.me. My website's being created right now. That'll be bestinterest.me too. So, but yeah, I created Best Interest because I want to help others, you know, do their best so they can become their best. And, you know, if they start to live a life that's in their own best interest, it's really what's in all of our best interest. And that's really what I really want to do, is contribute to creating a world that's in all of our best interest by, inspiring people, um, informing them, giving them knowledge and wisdom and everything they can so that they can transform their own life and become the best version of themselves and live a life in their own best interest. And, it goes down to that classic saying, like, if you want to change the world, it starts with you. And all you need to worry about is yourself, because if you change yourself, then you start to impact those around you and it'll just spread across the world. So there's
So
that.
I love this. It's like so amazing. You are amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
so like I just started coaching myself, but what would you call your sessions and stuff like that? And you're welcome.
Um, well, because I've transformed so many different things in my life, I learned a lot about how to transform things. So I can help people with, I mean, the number one thing that I present myself as is weight loss, because it's a good visual representation for people to see, and it's a common issue that people have. But like I said, it's a physical representation of what transform internally. So, we end up helping a lot of other things, a lot more other things. I can help people just gain inspiration, just like, you know, life coaching, mindset coaching, achieving their dreams, creating more income for themselves, um, d- starting a business. It could be literally anything. Like I could even, I mean, I'm a massage therapist, so I could even help people with exercises and programs and stuff and nutrition and biohacks and all these different things. So that's kind of like, it fits under the umbrella of my coaching. I do one-on-one stuff. I'm only working with one person right now because I'm just kind of starting, but ultimately I want to work with groups of people. So I'm creating an ebook right now called How to Lose 100 Pounds Using Only Your Mind. And I'm going to,
Wow.
yeah. So that's going to be up all everywhere. And I'm going to have, can create some like courses and stuff to go along with that. So yeah, I want to do more of that and, help people in every way that I possibly can. Because I've been a massage therapist for 7 years, and I always say, like, I want to help more than one person in 1 hour. So that's why I created the online platform, Best Interest.
Something tells me that you're gonna go like really, really, really far with your like just with the platforms that you have now. So if that's all you do, I feel like you'll still succeed with that too. I just get that vibe because these days on social media, like a lot of people are still fearful to be around other people in the public. I'm sure that's affected your massage therapy a little bit, but it's like the fact that you're out there and doing stuff like this, something tells me like people are naturally going to be attracted to you. So I don't really think you're going to have to work that hard.
Well, if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to, part of this, my dream is to, get this going and kind of have develop it to have a life of its own, so I can focus on my music, because that's what I really love. And I just want to, ultimately, I want to every time I play music live, I want to play for a better world. If I can contribute to that, the better. The secret of living is giving. The more we give selflessly, the more we can cultivate, selfless, compassionate giving and caring, the better we're going to feel, because giving is receiving. And, just love one another, love others as you love yourself, and be the best version of you. It's okay to mess up. We're on earth. We're going to mess up. That's good. We got to be here to support each other. And I think everybody should do something to help others in whatever way they can. Some people, it's different things, but Because if you do anything, whatever it is, if you help that one person in a crowd of like 1,000, your job's done. Because that one person is going to be impacted, and they're going to start making impact in their own life. So, and it just spreads. So don't be afraid. Just go for it. Whatever it is. Because we're all. One thing I want to add too is I need to drink water before I say this. So, if you think about it this way, everybody's working. Everybody has a job. Most people do, I guess. And what are we doing? We're providing a service for others. If we're providing a service for others, we got to stop looking at it as us being slaves for others. We got to see it as doing good for others. And a lot of people have a limiting belief towards rich people that oh, they're rich, they suck, or whatever it is that they think about rich people. But the fact is, these people got rich because they're providing a valuable service to others. They're providing value in other people's lives. And that's actually what we're doing. Even if you're working at Tim Hortons, you're providing value in somebody's life. Even though I don't agree with Tim Hortons food, you're still giving value to somebody because you're making them happy for that moment. You're providing them a service. You're working at a convenience store. You're providing. And of course, we all learned this through COVID. Our essential workers are the most valuable of them all. The people who work at the grocery store, even if you just work at a grocery store, you're not just working at a grocery store, because you're necessary and you're valuable and you're appreciated. And just because I'm a massage therapist and I have an online platform and I'm in a band and stuff does not make me better than anybody else. I'm just as good as the gas station worker or the person at the grocery store. We're just providing different services of value. But the more we can do something that we're passionate about, and the more we can provide something of value that we're passionate about, we are fulfilling our role, which I believe we all have our own role that we're born with, and we have to follow that. Like I said, our dream was created for us to accomplish. It was given to us. So you got to go do it. Just as like the bees have their own role of pollinating the flowers. Ants have their own role. Like all the animals in the world, they all have their own role, and they all play a part in this harmonious system. So do each and every one of us. That's why we all have different passions and talents. So just go for it.
I love that. Okay, so let's end here. Thank you so much for providing all of this knowledge. Something tells me that the people that are watching are meant to watch, because they're going to get a lot. And even just doing that writing exercise is going to give somebody something to at least focus on if they're feeling really kind of like stuck with how to move forward. Right?
Yeah, that was a really good writing exercise.
And hopefully everybody takes the time to share, because Jordan is amazing, and he's worth just like listening to the podcast, right? It's free. It's just like getting more knowledge and information, and just like at least following and being supportive will be transformative too. So whatever you choose to do, just reach out to him, and I'm gonna put all of his information in this. So I'll do that in the next couple minutes when we get off here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. It was great, and I might even just publish this on my podcast, just because it was good. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're
and
welcome.
I appreciate your passion to help people.
Yes, ditto. All right, everybody have an awesome Remembrance Day. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.